Happy Wednesday night, everybody. We have a lot of baseball to talk about tonight. We're talking some Tigers, we're talking some Phillies, we're talking some Astros, and we, of course, will beat the grid and talk about Major League Baseball once again, trying their best to get us to no baseball next season. So kick back, relax, because the latest installment of Hitting Home starts right now. Welcome, everybody, back into Hitting Home, only here on 609 Sports Talk Radio, coming to you guys live tonight with a whole bunch of fun baseball topics. This is, of course, the show for all the best baseball coverage you guys need during and even after baseball season. And as always, Sam Nelson, Dustin Reese. Dustin, happy Wednesday, late night. How we doing?
I don't know. I forgot to build a boat this morning because I didn't know I was going to need a boat on my way home today.
Yeah, little bit of rain in your area, I saw. How fun was that today?
4 inches in an hour I would not call fun. Driving home in that I would not call fun at all.
How do you drive home in that?
You don't really drive home in it. You kind of float in it.
You kind of just sit. You kind of just sit there. And you're like, "Yep, I'll get home eventually."
Maybe the current will take me somewhere special.
Oh my goodness!
I mean, I
So
was gonna
look, we got
send
a
I
big.
was gonna send you a picture. I didn't want to do it when I was driving, but there was legitimately somebody that pulled over on the side of the road and took the kayak off the back of their pickup truck and just put it in the road.
That may be the funniest thing ever. Damn, I
Because that
wish
was
you would have
literally
sent me that. That would.
the only way you could have got down that road was by a kayak because your car was not going down that road.
And if you attempted, you weren't going to have a car.
Nope, not at all.
All right, so look, big show tonight. We're going to talk a lot of stuff. We got Beat the Grid later on in the show. Dustin and I are out for revenge. The Grid has screwed us once again last week. We're out for our revenge. We'll talk MLB draft proposal changes. I think this is going to basically just continue to spark bigger issues in the CBA talks. We'll get into that. We'll talk some Tigers. Justin Verlander once again suffering another injury setback. We'll get into some Phillies talk, even though the cardiac Phillies are going to give me cardiac issues with the way they've been playing lately. But we're going to kick things off in the AL West. And we're going to go down to Houston. Now, look, it's not been a great year for Houston. 39 and 43, still sitting in, I believe, third in the AL West behind the A's and the Mariners. However, somebody in Houston is enjoying a bounce back season after being riddled with injuries in 2025. Yordan Alvarez is not only healthy, he is producing for the Houston Astros, currently leading the American League with a 325 batting average, leading the American League with 94 hits, tied for the American League lead in home runs with 25, tied for second in the American League with 56 runs batted in, leads the American League in runs scored with 57. So that sparked tonight's poll question, and tonight's poll question is Yordan Alvarez the leader candidate for American League MVP? And this poll question actually is it's pretty close. 57% of the vote said yes, while 43% of the vote says no. So, Dustin, I will start off with you. The floor will be yours. Do you think Yordan Alvarez is the leading candidate for AL MVP, even though it's only the end of June? And we lost connection with Dustin for a second there. So,
Yeah, I would say as of how many times does the MVP ever go to a team that is not in first place?
say that one more time for me. I think we're on a little bit of a delay.
How many times does the winner of the MVP ever go to a team that is not in first place?
Ah. In baseball, I mean, it's happened before.
Twice.
I will say, yes, I will say
That's
baseball is the one sport where you can have such a terrific season. And I mean, Yordan's having a great season. I mean, he's tops in every American
mhm.
League offensive category. It's the only sport where you could literally carry a team, still finish out of the postseason, and
Yep.
still get awarded the MVP because it is the hardest sport, in my opinion. It is the hardest sport to you can't carry a team in baseball. Like
No, you can't.
you could have a year where you hit 330, hit 50 homers, drive in 130 runs, and lead the league in every statistical category you want and win a triple crown. But guess what? Your bullpen could blow about 500 leads, your starting pitching could stink, and the rest of your lineup could stink. But if you put your
Yep.
numbers up, what else are you supposed to do? Basketball, there's only 5 guys on the floor. LeBron James took 4 G Leaguers to the finals in 2007. Hockey, it's a little more diverse in hockey, but if you get a hot goaltender at the right time, like Jonathan Quick with the LA Kings all those years ago, you can ride that momentum all the way to a Stanley Cup. NFL, little different, but as long as the quarterback's playing his game, like Eli Manning on both the Giants Super Bowl runs, you can win anything as long as your defense is playing well. Baseball is the one sport that one player cannot carry a team. You cannot carry a team with one player.
No,
And
you can't. You
Houston,
you can't. But I'm gonna say it because of the two things last year. Kyle Schwarber should have won the MVP last year over Shohei. The reason why he didn't is because the Phillies decided to not play Phillies baseball for a large chunk of the season, and then they got hot kind of when it mattered versus Shohei just does Shohei things game in and game out. Same situation last year in the American League. Cal Raleigh should have got the MVP over Aaron Judge because the guy plays catcher 140 games out of 162 games, put up the best numbers a catcher has ever put up, and the reason why he didn't get the MVP is because Seattle was hanging right around second place until like the final week of the season.
yeah, I would disagree. I agree with you. I agreed with you last year when it happened. I thought Raleigh should have won last year. I didn't think Kyle Schwarber was going to win it. I knew it was going to be Shohei in the National League, but again, like with what Jordan's doing this year, and again, last year, absolutely riddled with injuries. I mean, I don't even think he played 75 games last year, did he?
I think he played. Oh, he might have played 90. I think he played less than 10 the second half though. Like after the All Star break, I think he pretty much was dead, cooked, and buried at that point.
Yeah, because I mean, he kept trying to stay healthy, do what he was doing, but he could not stay on the field last year. And for him to come back this year on an Astros team that is just they don't have the pitching, the lineup isn't what it used to be. He is just it doesn't matter who's hitting in front of him, who's hitting behind him, who's hitting, who's not hitting, or how do you pitch to him. The guy just
Mm-hmm.
comes in and is putting up ridiculous numbers this year. I mean, he's on pace for at least I mean he's going to hit at least 45 bombs this year. He's already damn near he's halfway there.
I mean,
He
that's
stays
something we've
healthy.
seen from him before, though. That's not something that we should be, I guess, quote unquote, surprised with. But the one thing he's doing better this year than what he's done in past years is he's actually hitting for a high average this year. Yes, he's hit for probably 280, 290 before, but if he can continue to hit in that 300 range all season, this is a different kind of Yordan Alvarez that even the Houston Astros expected to be getting.
Oh yeah, I agree. Jordan came into this year and he looks like he's got that a chip on his shoulder to remind people like You want to talk about some of the most prolific hitters in the game, power wise? I'm one of them. Not to mention, I'll start hitting 330, and then I'll really become. So, but again, like we've talked about, it's not very often. And now I know it's been done a few times in baseball where the MVP has gone to a team that didn't win, and I get that. In today's game, with today's fans, I feel like we are at that point where we don't care about the offensive production from a player. I feel like it's become a very big popularity type thing. So again, that's why I knew last year like Kyle Schwarber was not going to win over Shohei Ohtani and Cal Raleigh was not going to win over Aaron Judge, not because they weren't better, but also it's like all-star voting. It's a popularity contest.
And that's the thing that bothers me a little bit about the way baseball MVPs are done because realistically, I'm not going to discredit anything that Shohei Ohtani does because he's the best player that we've ever seen in our generation. The guy would win a Cy Young award if he pitched and pitched only. The guy would win an MVP if he hit and he hit only. And there's a legitimate possibility when you look at the way he's playing right now that he could become Justin Verlander did it, but he could become the first two-way player to win not only the MVP again this year, but to also win the Cy Young. And that's the thing with Shohei, like, he's going to be a top 3 MVP vote getter every single year, even if people have better numbers than he does, because of how popular a player he is. At some point, we need to let the numbers speak for themselves and get away from I want this guy to win the MVP just because he's a popular player.
Yeah. And like we've said about Shohei, people may not agree that he's the MVP every year, but like you said, to hit and pitch to that caliber year in and year out is impressive alone. Like the fact that he's able to do both and do it both at a high level is truly remarkable.
And I know a lot of people, when he signed his contract, were kind of arguing if he's worth $70 million. And granted, he's not getting paid the $70 million for reasons we've discussed enough, and we don't need to beat a dead horse at this point. But if you were solely signing Shohei to be a pitcher and a pitcher only, you'd be giving him 30 to 35 million a year.
I'd give the hitter 40 million alone.
Well, that's what I'm saying, though. If you were signing him just to be a hitter, nothing else, he'd be getting 40 million a year easily. If you were signing him to be a pitcher and nothing else, he'd be getting $30 million a year easily. Put that together, you have a $70 million player.
Exactly. With 68 million deferred, but still, we got you. Well,
That's
we'll
what I
make
said.
the
That's what I
deferred.
said. It's a topic for a different day. We've beaten the dead horse on that topic enough.
No, we haven't beaten the dead horse. We rode the horse for 25 plus years, put it out the pasture, tried to revive it for all these years, and now we're just beating it again.
Because he refuses to bring me my water back home.
Here's a good question. Would the Astros consider moving Yordan if they fall completely out of it?
No, you can't. Because, like you said before, this is a completely different looking Astros lineup than they used to have. There's no more
Oh,
Alex Bregman hitting in the number 2 spot. There's no more
nope.
Kyle Tucker hitting in the number 4 spot. Jose Altuve is still a good player, but he's not the player he once was. You don't have Michael Brantley as your leadoff hitter anymore. You don't have these power hitting players that helped you reach the world. I should say helped you, but there's other reasons why you got to the World Series also. But you don't have these guys that helped you get to the World Series in the past. You can't afford to get rid of the really only offensive threat you have right now, especially when you're that close to first place at this point.
Yeah, it's fair. Look, it's a good question. In case what if the Astros just feel that it's just maybe they're not that. I mean, maybe they're heading toward an area that we don't like always talking about. Starts with the R, and maybe a rebuild, but
See, that's the
it's a
thing,
good.
though. You could make the case that this is their rebuilding year. And yet, here they are, still in contention to win that division. And that's because teams like Texas have not taken a step forward again this year. They've kind of continued to be mid after winning the World Series. The Angels are the Angels and are probably the most poorly run organization in baseball.
All
The
right, so
A's have a ton of young talent, but Seattle. They're going to hang around 500 all year. They're going to get one hot streak at the end of the season and finish with 85, 86 wins.
so here's let me just read these off again. So I'm not gonna. So Yordan today was 0 for 3. So I'm gonna just null today's numbers. But coming into today, he's played 80 games, 325, 436 OBP, OPS of 1.076, 94 hits, 25 bombs, 16 doubles, 57 runs scored, 56 RBIs. You go back to the lead. Let me go back to the leaderboard here. So, leader in batting average. Well, he's going to drop down to number 2 now because I think Yandy had a couple hits today. Yandy was right behind him. If Yandy still may be behind him in hits. He had 94 coming into today. Yandy had 90. So Yandy Diaz is right on his tail in terms of batting average and hits. Home runs, he's tied with Buxton. Runs batted in,
Who
he's
saw that coming on their bingo card? Byron Buxton leading the league in home runs.
is it not hilarious that Byron Buxton is healthy and finally hitting his potential when the Twins are now officially a teardown?
See, now that brings the question that you asked with Yordan Alvarez. If you're the Twins, you better be selling high on Byron Buxton at the deadline because not only is he producing, but he's finally healthy. You may never get a healthy Byron Buxton again, so why not sell him while his stock is as high as it is right now?
Well, the problem is Buxton has the no trade, and he said he doesn't want to be traded.
So you mean to tell me if the Los Angeles Dodgers or the Yankees called up the Twins and said, "Hey, name your price for Buxton," he wouldn't do it?
I'm not saying he would or will. I'm not. I don't know. That's a good question. You would have to ask him, not me.
He can say he's not going to waive that all he wants, but if the Dodgers or the Yankees or the Braves, who actually could use another outfielder, called the Twins and been like, "Hey, by the way, name your price and we'll give you whatever you want for Buxton," you know damn well he's not holding on to that no trade clause.
Yeah. But so, real quickly, so Buxton is tied with him with home runs. RBIs, he's tied for second with Dingler in Detroit. Nick Kurtz leads the American League with 61. He's tops in runs scored behind, and he's one ahead of Zach Neto and Nick Kurtz as well. Only one player is twice on that list up at the top of the category with him, and that's Yandy Diaz. Who else? Is Yandy like number 2 in the AL MVP race right now?
I think right now he's number 1 just because Aaron Judge is hurt. If Aaron Judge comes back, if he comes back healthy and does what Aaron Judge typically does, Aaron Judge is going to win the MVP again.
Yeah, but with the more time he misses, I don't know about that.
It goes back to the popularity contest, though. Who's the more
You're not
popular
wrong.
player? Who's the more popular player, Judge or Alvarez?
I'd say Judge, but I think
Yeah.
Yordan is still.
I'm not saying Yordan's a bad player, but if their numbers end up similar at the end of the year, even if Alvarez has more home runs, more RBIs, and a higher batting average, if their numbers end up similar, knowing how many games that Judge missed, Judge is going to get it.
I think if Yordan has closer numbers to Judge, I think Yordan has a better chance of beating him than what Raleigh did last year. Now, last year, let's go back to this real quick. Judge, let's go back to last year and let's talk about what happened in the American League last year with the MVP. So let's just talk about Cal Raleigh for a second. Cal last year, of course, played the 159 games. And yes, I understand the one big argument he plays catcher. And I agree with that because that's why in where I'm at, when we complain about JT Realmuto, I'm like, guys, he's 35 years old. He's catching 4 times a week. Give him a break. So I agree. I get where we're going with that. But again, you value that. They don't. So
I
if we
value
just
that
look at the
because how many catchers in baseball nowadays play more than 100 games in a season?
Oh, I don't disagree with you. I'm not playing the game of I'm on their side. I'm just playing devil's advocate. This is what they look at. Cal Raleigh last year, yes, he hit the 60 home runs. He drove in the 125. He hit 247 with an OPS of 948. And he played catcher all those games. That is 100% impressive.
Mm-hmm.
Aaron Judge last year, 53, 114, hit 331. OPS was 1.145. So, unfortunately, Raleigh beat him in home runs by 7 and in
Yep.
RBIs by 11. But Judge
Mm-hmm.
had the better batting average, the better OPS. I don't know if I think his on base was higher.
And
Judge
that's
had a
ultimately why he got it. So 100%. The batting
yeah,
average is what did Colorado in.
Judge had a way higher on base last year than Cal Raleigh.
Yeah.
But again,
My thing with that is, so you go ahead.
I think that's where we could say, well, Judge had a better average, a better OBP, and a better OPS. Yes, he did. But that's
Yep.
where your argument, I agree with you, is okay, but Judge is playing the outfield. And by the way, no offense to Aaron Judge, the easiest right field in baseball to play in Yankee Stadium. It's not
Yeah.
short, it's a small wall. I have seen this man step up at the wall right here, just reach up and take home runs away. Doesn't need to
Yep.
jump, doesn't need to do anything. Because the guy, if he played basketball, he'd be the starting center on about 18 teams in the NBA.
Yeah, he would because he's 6'9", 270 pounds. And when the wall in right field is what, 6 feet tall, he doesn't have to jump.
If it's that tall.
The thing, I understand people kind of take the OPS, they take the batting average and all that into equation when it comes to the MVP. But when else does batting average matter, considering how batting average is at an all-time low in Major League Baseball history right now? Nobody gives a crap about batting average anymore. They care about production. The argument that I made for Cal Raleigh, excluding that he plays catcher, is he's a switch hitter. He set the single-season home run record for home runs by a switch hitter, and he set the record for home runs by a catcher. How do you not win an MVP when you set 2 records that have been standing for hundreds of years when it comes to switch hitters and catchers?
Because unfortunately, you ran to a guy named Aaron Judge.
Well, that's where the whole popularity contest goes in, because they did a blind resume, and most people knew who it was, obviously. But they did a blind resume, and they just basically took Cal Raleigh's numbers, put them up against Aaron Judge. They did a blind resume. And they said, who would you give the MVP to? All 5 people on MLB Network picked Cal Raleigh.
Yeah.
So if all these people that watch baseball for a living are saying Cal Raleigh wins the MVP, how does he not get it? Which is kind of why I think the voting is skewed. I think the voting is very, very similar to the Hall of Fame, where I just think it's stupid at this point. I think the fans should be voting for who the MVP is in both leagues. And if that was the case, I'm willing to bet that Cal Raleigh wins the MVP in the American League last year.
Well, fighting Philly said Yankees biased. And I mean, there could be some behind that because let's be honest, right? I'm not trying to. The Yankees, I know they aren't the Yankees of the early 2000s or the Yankees of the old, but they're still They're still one of the best organizations in sports history and in baseball. And let's be real, they're one of baseball's babies.
Yeah.
It's like the Lakers in the NBA. It doesn't matter how irrelevant they are; they're still the Lakers.
Yeah, and the other thing that bothers me too with this whole, we'll just stick with Aaron Judge for a minute. You expect the numbers that Aaron Judge gave you last year. Like, that's the expectation from him year in and year out. And if he doesn't get to those numbers, it's seen as a disappointment. Up
Yeah,
until what Raleigh did last year, he was never that kind of a hitter before. He would be around 25 home runs every year, might get to 30. Never a 60 home run hitter before. Look at what he's doing this year. He is hitting like a 168 right now or a 170 right now with like 12 home runs. He is never
which
going to have the year that he had last year and was robbed of an MVP because of it, because that is what the definition of an MVP is, basically having a career year, which he had.
and again, let's look at this. I know we say that baseball is a game where you cannot have one player carry a team, but let's be real about something, okay? Let's just be complete. Let's keep it honest with something. Because Cal Raleigh and fighting Philly, I can't answer that question. I don't know what's up with Cal Raleigh this year. I know he's been banged up, but it's been rough for him just in total this year. Aaron Judge goes down, and we talked about this a couple weeks ago. The Yankees are still 48 and 31 without
Yep.
him in the lineup right now.
Yeah.
Cal Raleigh is having one of the worst starts to a season off of what he did last year. The Mariners are a game over 500.
Yeah.
And
That is where,
Dustin,
that is the
we
definition of an MVP.
because here's the thing: I can tell you one thing. The biggest reason why the Yankees are still in the position they're in is because of their starting pitching. Well, the Mariners
Yeah.
have one of the best rotations in baseball up there too. They got five guys that they can throw in a playoff series, and there's still
Yep.
only one game. Now, there's a lot of other things. Suarez not coming back. They chose not to re-sign him. That's also a killer for that lineup. But you're telling me how Cal Raleigh is struggling. He's playing mostly. I know he was on the IL for a little bit, but he's playing, and they're only one game over. Judge is out, and they're 17 games over and still winning.
Yep. That's in my book. That's the definition of an MVP, because an MVP is supposed to be an irreplaceable player in your lineup that you can't win without. And yes, Raleigh is playing, but he's not playing at the level he played last year. So I'm going to basically say Seattle does not have the Raleigh that they had last year, and they are struggling to win without that Raleigh.
Yeah, and that's again because I said it going into the season. Seattle was going to need guys to step up when Suarez didn't resign, and some of those guys have not produced either. Like if you look through their best players, not outside of Cal Raleigh, I mean, Brendan Donovan has only played 25 games this year. He's been banged up all season. He was supposed to be one of their best acquisitions. Josh Naylor only hitting 250, OPS under
Which
700.
is very low for him. Very
Yes.
low for him. He's typically a 290, 300 guy.
Now Randy Arozarena is actually having a decent year. OPS is at 815. He's batting 287, but the power's not there. He's only got 7 homers. And Julio is only hitting 240. So
Hey, he's up from 212 last year, because I think Julio only hit like a 212 last year, so he's up from that.
yeah, but still, like when you need guys to produce, you need guys to do their job, and they're not doing their jobs. None of these guys are.
And the funny thing is, go back like 5 years ago when Seattle gave Julio Rodriguez that massive contract extension. He was coming off of an MVP caliber season that year, with numbers that weren't even close to what Cal Raleigh put up that year or last year. And Rodriguez got closer to winning the MVP than Cal Raleigh did.
Which is a joke.
And look at the player that Rodriguez has become since that season. He has never had a year close to what he did that year before he signed that massive contract extension.
Well,
And even that was basically a first half total for what Raleigh did last year.
Yeah, I mean, well, fighting Philly just came out and said it. Julio hasn't been the same since he got that money.
Hasn't been, but I'm just saying that's kind of like what you like. Raleigh is never going to have the year that he had last year. And the year that he
No,
had last year was a historic year on every single metric possible, not just because he was a switch hitter, but because he was a catcher hitting for power, which is something you don't see anymore. And yet he was further away from winning the MVP than Julio Rodriguez was when Julio Rodriguez put up a season that was only fractionally as good as that season from Raleigh last year.
and like, here's the funny thing, right? If you go back to Aaron Judge and you look at like, so I'm going to start all the way back in 2017, his first full year in the bigs, where he hit 52 homers.
Yeah.
He played 155 games that year. The
Yep.
next two seasons, the next 2 years he played 112 and 102 and only hit 27 home runs in each.
Yeah.
Then in 2022, played 157. That's when he hit 62 home runs. The next
Yep.
year in 23, he only played 106 games and he hit 37 and drove in 75. Those are like Cal Raleigh's probably the best years he'll put up for the rest of his career.
Exactly. And that's where the whole popularity comes into play, because what Aaron Judge has done his entire career, taking away the times when he's played less than 130 games, you're expecting at minimum from Aaron Judge at this point 45 and 120 is what you're expecting from Aaron Judge at this point. Anything less than that, you're immediately looking at if he was injured. You're immediately looking at some other things if he doesn't get to 45 and 120. If Cal Raleigh ever gets to 35 and 100 again, he'll be lucky.
And I guarantee you, by the time he does, he'll be a full-time DH.
Yeah. He'll never do what he did as a catcher last year ever again.
And that's the one thing that Yordan has the advantage of is he is the full-time DH in Houston. So I think he plays left field like once every couple of weeks, but he does basically play. He is basically just their DH. So I think if Yordan continues this, and again, we're still weeks away from if he's ready to. Because remember, when they gave you that 6 to 7 week timeline, that wasn't about coming off the IL. That was to have him re-image to see if he's ready. Then we have to
Right.
get him to swing a bat. Then he has to go in the cage, swing a bat, see how he feels. Then we're talking the rehab assignment. So we're still probably a decent amount of time away from Aaron Judge being ready to play again. And that is probably the only thing that will cost him on making the MVP race close if Yordan continues this. Because I don't care about the Astros record. Well, Yordan Alvarez is top three, not five, three in almost every major category there is to win the MVP.
Yep. And another
And
reason
just so
why I
people,
think he's got a clear path too is who else got hurt that was off to a historically amazing start to the point where you wanted to see how many home runs he was actually going to hit.
this year,
Yeah.
well, it's not Judge, it's not Cal. Who am I missing?
Munetaka Murakami.
There you go.
Munetaka Murakami is a rookie for the White Sox.
Still top
He has
five in home runs in the
he
American
has
League.
20 home runs in 44 games. He is one home run away from setting the rookie record for Japanese-born players, which was set by Shohei, and he's only played 44 games. If he didn't get hurt, average aside, because Murakami's only hitting like I think a 225, so his average is not very good, but he's got a good on-base percentage because he takes a ton of walks. If Murakami would be playing 80 games, the same amount of games as Alvarez, I can guarantee you Murakami would be the favorite to win the MVP right now.
And again, and that could be the case of if you look at the White Sox record and what it's been for Chicago for the past how many years, how miserable it's been.
Because they haven't had a player like him until this year. Now look at their first place club. Record still's not great
Exactly.
because they're only 5 games above 500. But what, 2 years ago, they lost 121 games 2 years ago. And now they're a first place club because they basically signed a power hitting superstar in Murakami, and they have a good starting rotation.
Yeah, and their bullpen's been solid, and other young guys are stepping up, like Montgomery. They've they've been scrappy this year, and they are a tough team to play.
They are going to be a tough out if they make the playoffs, especially in the best of three because of that rotation.
Yeah, and Will Venable's done a really good job over there. He pushes all the right buttons in terms of in-game management, in-game decisions, bullpen decisions. He's done a very good job over there in Chicago to start this year.
Like I think that obviously players don't keep up like historic paces or anything like that because you go through cold stretches, you go through hot stretches and things like that. But when Murakami went down with his injury, he was on a 78 homer pace.
That probably wins the AL MVP.
That okay, he's a rookie. He even gets the 50 home runs as a rookie. Not only does he have rookie of the year locked up, but if you hit 50 home runs as a rookie, you're probably winning MVP.
Yeah, kind of like Aaron Judge.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think, and again, Murakami's another one missing time with an injury. So, and it sucks because like I don't want to make it sound like Yordan's going to win it because of these injuries, but the path is easier for him
Yeah, way easier. Right now, you'd have to
because
say the two favorites. Right now, the two favorites I would say are Buxton and Alvarez because of the injuries.
yeah, and that's like I don't want to make it sound like that's the only reason because again, what Alvarez is doing again, even if Judge was healthy and Murakami was healthy and Raleigh was playing better, Yordan that wouldn't stop Yordan from having statistically right now. I'm sorry, he's statistically having the best year of his career.
Yeah, he is.
I mean, if you look at this, I mean, hold on, let me go see. Let me go back to Mr. Yordan's numbers again.
I will say
So
this though:
again,
if Murakami was healthy, Murakami would be leading the major leagues in home runs if he was healthy.
oh, I don't disagree with that at all. Yordan is hitting 325, so I'll be generous. On pace, I'd say about 318. I'll say that would be like where I think I would have he would be on pace for. OPS is at 1.076, so he could have an 1100 OPS. He's got 25 homers already. He's on. I think he's easily on pace for at least 45, and he's got 56 RBIs on a team that doesn't guys that don't get on base a lot, and a bunch of guys that don't drive in runs. That's easily on pace for 100, and he's probably on pace for
120.
around 85 runs scored, and he's probably
Yep.
on pace for 180 hits.
Yep.
Like that is MVP numbers. And
And
unfortunately, like I said, I don't. That's why I don't want to make this sound like even if Judge was playing and all this crap. Again, he is having statistically one of the best seasons of his career. So I don't believe that it's about oh he would only be in the situation because of the injuries. I think personally, right now he's the MVP even if Judge was playing. Even if Raleigh was having a little bit better of a season, because again, to have a catcher do what Raleigh did 2 years in a row is uncalled for. But even if Raleigh was having halfway decent the season that he did last year, he would still be a candidate for MVP.
my only concern with Alvarez getting the MVP is once we get closer to kind of August. And obviously, Houston is still very much alive in the playoff race because the AL West is kind of like the AL Central, where you don't have a dominant team. And for the most part, everyone is still alive besides the Angels. At what point do teams start walking Alvarez knowing that he doesn't have the kind of protection that he once had? If teams start walking him towards the end of the year, that's going to affect the numbers that he finishes with.
Well, see, here's the funny thing. He's actually only struck out like 16 more times this year than he's walked. So
Well,
they are walking him.
I'm talking intentional walks though, like where they don't even pitch to him.
I mean, yeah, but how many times can you actually intentionally walk a guy until it's like, okay.
The Cubs did it to Bryce Harper. Don't you remember that playoff series when Bryce Harper was with the Washington Nationals? It was a 5-game series. Bryce Harper had 15 plate appearances. The Cubs intentionally walked him 10 times.
Yeah, because let's just look. If you look at Houston's lineup, Altuve today, I don't know if this is their everyday lineup, but Altuve's leading off for them. Good Lord, I don't know what they're thinking there.
Well, they don't have
Yordan hits
Brantley
second.
anymore.
That is true. Jeremy Pena hits behind Yordan usually. He's hitting 280. And then the only other one would be Isaac Paredes, who, he's hitting 249 with 10 homers. So,
Yeah.
Don't get me
At
wrong.
some point, they're going to walk him.
Now, I'll be honest, I've seen guys with worse protection than that. But, yeah, eventually, that's the thing. Like, will Yordan keep doing this in the second half when teams start realizing they don't got much power behind him? So, why are we going to pitch to him? So, it'll be interesting. But if the season ended today, and God, we're not even into July yet. If my season ended today, I have my votes going to Yordan.
Yeah, mine is 2 of it end of the day.
In other words, let's talk about my team for a minute here. Phils, they're playing some good ball right now. Had a great weekend against the Mets. And now they're playing the role of the cardiac kids in Washington. Coming back down to their final strike last night, down 8-6, wins that game 14-9 tonight. Down to their last out, last strike. Kyle Schwarber, who didn't play last night or today's game, pinch hits, gets the big walk. Derek Hill comes up and takes, I forget what Nationals reliever it was, D to right. Phils win the game again. However, though, I'm starting to get some concerns with this team. And it's not about players that are stepping up. Derek Hill stepped up tonight. Brandon Marsh has been on a heater this year. Bryson Stott's like one of the top second basemen in terms of RBI since May 1st. And but there's things with this roster that are starting to concern me. The overall depth of this team is starting to concern me. Brad Keller's on the IL right now. The bullpen is now very shaky. Orion Kirkring last night comes in, gives up the 2-run home run in the 8th inning. I still don't know how much I trust him in high leverage situations. Jose Alvarado's ERA is still over 6. Jonathan Bowling comes in tonight with a 3-2 lead, just needs to get one out. And ironically, Curtis Mead takes him deep to left for a 2-run shot. So I'm starting to get concerned with some of the depth with the Phillies. The bullpen is kind of shaky. The rotation is now down to 4 because Andrew Painter was serving up batting practice for the past 6 starts. And tonight I had to watch Garrett Stubbs play third base.
Ooh, how's that?
Well, luckily it was only for the 9th inning and no one hit a ball near him. So luckily that was okay.
He should start
because
tomorrow.
here's the thing. Since Schwarber didn't play tonight, they gave Harper the night off in the field. Bohm played first. Sosa played third, but then Schwarber had the pinch hit for Sosa because they were going for the tie, and he ends up walking. And because he's had some back tightness over the past 2 days, even if he didn't have back tightness, Stubbs is going to pinch run because he's the better base runner.
Right.
But I'm getting concerned with the bench has not been producing. And even though, and hear me out, I don't want to come off as like I'm insulting the game, but I've always felt before the DH, the National League was always, to me, more of the league where you had to strategize more because your pitchers always hit. And you had to be careful with who you pinched hit with, who did you pinch run with, things like that. Now that the DH is in both leagues, it's a little easier for these National League teams to strategize. But even with the DH, I still feel like my bench is not that deep. It's Edmundo Sosa and I don't know who else. Neither of my backup catchers can hit. Derek Hill tonight, yes, he was the hero, but against teams like the Dodgers, I don't know if he's doing that. And Garrett Stubbs shouldn't be on a major league roster. And the Painter thing doesn't hurt the fact that they're down to 4 starters. The problem is I have question marks after the first 2. Like, if I'm going into a playoff series, I'm going Sanchez, Wheeler, Sanchez, take your pick. But Luzardo's had a weird year. 2 starts, he looks unhittable. Next start, he just looks okay. Next start, it's like, how is it 7-0 in the 3rd inning, Jesus? And Aaron Nola is somehow got you 5 innings and only 2-run ball tonight. Allowed 2 solo shots in the first 2 innings. Calm down after that, but he just doesn't seem. It feels like everything with Aaron Nola, the pitch clock's bothered him. Now the ABS is bothering him. It doesn't seem like he's getting any better, and he kind of just is what he is. If he gets you 5, you're lucky. I'm very concerned about this team's depth heading into the second half of the season.
You'll
And
make some
I'm
trades.
at the
You'll make some trades. You always do.
and that's where I'm going with this, because we need another starter, because we don't even have 5 major league capable starting pitchers now that Painter's back at AAA. I'll give Alan Ronhale credit, who was pitching down at Lehigh Valley. They used him in the first game against Washington. They used Tim Mays as the opener. Ronhale came in and pitched 5 innings. Only gave up 1 run. He pitched very serviceable, but I think they need to find an innings eater at that number 5 starter position. Hope Luzardo figures it out in the second half, and then at least those 3, I'm like, okay, I could work with this. And then whoever your 4th starter is in the playoffs, good luck.
Right.
Once again, the Phillies prove to me that they are not the Milwaukee Brewers. They don't develop players. Tyler and I were talking about this on Unbiased on Monday, how the Miami Heat have always, outside of Dwayne Wade, always went outside their organization and found their star players. Tim Hardaway, Alonzo Mourning, Shaq, LeBron, Chris Bosh, Jimmy Butler. The list goes on. Giannis. Outside of that 1 5-year run with Utley, Rollins, and Howard, this Phillies team is literally designed that same way. Bryce Harper came over in free agency. Kyle Schwarber came over. JT was traded for. Wheeler came here. Even Sanchez, yes, he came up through the Philly system, but he wasn't drafted by the Phillies.
Right.
Luzardo was a trade. They have put this roster together through free agency and trades. And the Phillies have developed maybe 2 starting pitchers in my lifetime. Not in the past 10 years. In my 30 years on this earth, I've seen 2 starting pitchers come up through the system and have very somewhat successful careers. The best one was Cole Hamels. He had a great career. The other one is the one I just mentioned, Aaron Nola. Now, Aaron was great up until about 2024, and the past 2 years have been ugly, but that's the point. They don't develop it well. Aiden Miller, who was supposed to be their next can't-miss infield prospect. I was told the same thing about Alec Bowman, Bryson Stott, and they're not bad baseball players, but they're not can't-miss prospects. They're good, solid ball players. Bryson is a Gold Glove second baseman, and offensively, he's streaky at best. Alec Bohm, I don't even know what to say about Alec Bohm.
You love Alec Bohm so much. I know you do. You wear his jersey to bed every night.
Don't own one.
Oh, yes, you do.
No, I don't. The only current Philly I own is Harper, and that's because I literally impulsively bought it the night he hit the 2 home runs against Atlanta in Game 3, and he stared down Arcia. That's when I went and bought it.
Fair.
But the point here is, this group. I'm sorry, this group has one more shot because we have no idea what's going to happen next year. And by the time they come back, we don't know if Zach Wheeler is going to still be playing because his contract's up next year. But again, he may decide if there's no baseball next year, he may still decide, well, I took a year off. Now I just had he's like, I took half a year off 2 years ago with the outlets-ish situation. Now it's like, I took a year off. I'm 37. I kind of like spending time with my family. So, like, you don't, I mean, Zach Wheeler is one of the best free agent acquisitions the Phillies have ever made. I put it right up there with Harper, and I put it right up there with Schwarber. I think Zach Wheeler, personally, is a better acquisition than Cliff Lee or Roy Halladay ever were, because Roy had 2 very good years here, and then his arm fell apart. Cliff Lee, great 2011. 2012 was good. The problem was he got no run support. 2013 was good, and then his arm fell apart. Zach Wheeler, for 7 years, going on 8, has been nothing but consistent pitching through all these years. And even though they haven't, I mean, they didn't win with Howday or Lee either, but especially, and that's the other thing, Zach's got a pretty damn decent postseason resume, too, because he's pitched in every big game you could think of and usually wins them. But if I'm the Phillies, my philosophy going into
Right.
this year's deadline, screw the prospects, trade them all. If a
Nice.
team, I'm serious. If I called the Twins tomorrow and they said, you know what, Byron Buxton said he'll waive his no trade to come to Philly, but we want Aiden Miller. If they say no, I'm out on this whole regime. I'm firing everybody. I'm firing Dombrowski before the phone even hangs up with Minnesota. The Phillies don't develop players. They just don't. And the fan base has to come to that understanding. They don't have a track record of developing players. They hit with 3 guys, Rollins, Utley, and Howard. It was awesome. It was a great 5-year run. They don't develop players. They're not the Brewers. They're just not that type of team. They don't draft and develop well. They sign guys in the prime of their career, and they get their next core group of guys that way. They'll develop some outliers, like Stott. Stott's a big part of this team. He's the best fielding second baseman in baseball sometimes. Now, Nico Horner has something to say about that too, but Bryson
We're not
Stott's
going to
right
talk
up there
about.
as one of the best.
We're not talking about Nico Horner on this show right now.
I'm just trying to give him his flowers as a fielder.
No,
He's top notch.
he don't get flowers this year.
Okay, I don't want to come on here and act like I'm just calling Bryson Stott the next Joe Morgan. I'm not saying that, but the Phillies, this is the year to go for the whole thing. Find that right-handed bat. I don't care how you do it. I
See,
don't care if a team said,
that's the problem that I have with it though. Is because every other team in the Phillies position, the Braves, the Dodgers, the Yankees, the Rays, the White Sox, the Brewers, everybody else is in that same mindset where you don't know what's going to happen after this year. So everyone's going to have that mindset of going all in for everything.
yeah,
So then that's where the whole prospect stuff comes into play. You need to start looking at who's got the best farm system, and sure shit, it's Milwaukee. So if push comes to shove, the Phillies and the Brewers are both going after the same pieces. The Phillies probably don't have that good of a chance to get those pieces because the Brewers have a much better farm system.
no, yeah, I agree with that. But the problem is the Phillies already have a weaker farm system, but they'll weaken it more in trade talks because they'll say, okay, well, Painter and Miller aren't available. Well, then you can't come close to anything else anyone else is offering.
Right.
And that's the problem because they're so like, oh, they're going to be a big part of our team this year. Andrew Painter, to me, looks like Aaron Nola. He just throws 5 miles an hour faster.
Yeah, about that, yeah.
That fast, I don't know. I'm not sure if you've watched most of his starts. Since his first start, when he played a young, immature Nationals team who will swing at any breaking ball you throw them, every start since then, teams have made him beat them with his fastball, and it usually just sits dead right in the middle of the plate.
Nice.
It's not cheapies. It's getting smoked from, it's like 119 off the bat. He's getting
That's a
smoked.
cheapie.
And this isn't anything new because guess what? He's getting roped down the minor leagues last year. His ERA last year in AAA Lehigh Valley was 5.28. So it ain't like this is new. This has been the last
No.
2 years since Tom. He doesn't look the same since the surgery. I know it wasn't much to look on before he got Tommy John, but that fastball doesn't look the same. It's got no movement. It's got no life. It's still got the velocity. He still touches 97, but it doesn't have any type of movement or whatsoever. And if that thing gets thrown, 90% of the time, it's getting Lock, stock, and barreled. And it's going somewhere into the seats. So, yes, if a team comes calling and says, hey, we want Andrew Painter for said right-handed hitter, you give up Painter for said right-handed hitter. I don't care. I'm just accepting what my organization is. They don't draft well. They don't develop players. So why am I going to keep sitting here and waiting for them to do it?
Because you love them.
And I'm sorry, this deadline, this is the crucial deadline for Dave Dombrowski because, the radio stations in our area talk about this. Matt Klentak, the GM before, well, like the guy who was in the head of the front office before Dave Dombrowski came in here, he's the one that got Bryce Harper. He's the one
Yep.
that signed Zach Wheeler, but he wasn't able to improve team. To be an elite GM in any sport, what do you have to be good at? Anybody can sign a star player. You have to be good along the margins.
Mm-hmm.
You have to look at the margins and improve there. Dave Dombrowski has not done a good job at it. Yes, he brought in Kyle Schwarber. Let's go down the rest of his track record. Nick Castellanos, failure. Taijuan Walker, huge failure. You're paying those two guys not to play on your team this year. Whit Merrifield was an all-star in Toronto the year before the Phillies signed him. Was released before middle of the season. Austin Hayes, failure.
Mono
Max
last year.
Kepler, Jordan Romano.
Jordan
And
last year.
that's the other thing. I don't give him credit for trading for Johan Duran. You know why? Because the only reason he had to do that is because Jordan Romano was terrible.
Yep.
And for God's sakes, Max Kepler was doing PEDs and he couldn't even hit.
And then you'll get even some of the guys that he's given away too, like Sir Anthony Dominguez. He's given away the closer in Kansas City. What's his name? Carlos Estevez?
Who's Strom?
No, Carlos Estevez.
Estevez. Estevez was definitely the definition of a rental, but Estevez he hasn't been great this year, KC.
No, but you had a chance to re-sign him though, because the Phillies could have put together a better offer than what the Royals gave him.
Yeah, they could have, but I still they don't get me wrong, there are some things I'm happy he did. Like I'm happy with that. Like this year, he traded Matt Strom for Jonathan Bolin. Jonathan Bolin allowed a home run tonight, yes. But guess what? His ERA is still at 3.8. Matt Strom's is over 6.
Right. Yeah.
Basically, Jose Alvarado and Matt Strom are having a competition. Who could be the worst left-handed relief pitcher in baseball this year? So, like, there have been some little good things he's done, and there's been some big things. Like again, Kyle Schwarber. I mean, Kyle Schwarber's having one of the best power runs for a power hitter we've seen in Phillies history. It's right there with Ryan Howard's 2006 to 2011. Some of the best power hit you've seen in baseball. So he's done some things good, but just it's the margins. It's the Max Kepler. I'll throw Adolis Garcia in there, even though I don't want to. He wasn't playing well this year. He started playing better for the last 2 weeks before he got hurt, and unfortunately his season's over. But it's just not being able to find things to fix your team on the margins. It's not being able, and then going into the year going and saying we have 2 young guys we're really high on. Crawford's been okay, if that. I'm probably being generous, but Painter has been awful. They chose not to re-sign Ranger Suarez because of Painter, and it hasn't worked out.
Not at all. Not in the slightest.
Dombrowski is supposed to be the guy to come in and was supposed to put what Matt Klentak did over the top, because Matt Klentak, when he was here, no idea how to build a starting rotation. It was Aaron Nola, Zach Wheeler, and oh my God, I don't want to remember what else. The bullpen was godly awful. Like this bullpen this year hasn't been perfect, but back then, oh my God, was it bad.
Yeah.
And it's just like, if you don't do it this year, then you might as well consider this team's window to be slammed shut, because you're still getting excellent power from Schwarber. Harper's having to me, Harper's had a lot better of a season this year than he had last year. The wrist doesn't seem to be bothering him as much. He's driving the ball the other way again. He's just had a really good weekend against the Mets. Brandon Marsh is having a terrific season. Trey Turner's struggling, but there's another great Dombrowski contract, but then that's going to age like freaking 8-month-year-old milk. So you either got to go get it now or you're screwed because they're not going to. If it isn't this year, it's never going to be. This is the last year this regime has a shot at winning.
No, I agree.
So, like, I hope this is the year that the deadline, it's like, wow, they actually did. Like, wow, they went out and got a Byron Buxton or a Joe Adell or whatever it is. But the depth on this team was a concern going into the year. If they were to suffer some injuries, oh boy, it's not been fun. But anyway, let's keep moving on here because I've griped about my Phillies long enough. Let's get over to some Tigers stuff. Justin Verlander, Dustin, has no luck this year. So, we were all happy to hear, the Detroit reunion. Probably going to go out a Tiger, which is awesome. Gets in the one game before suffers hip inflammation and has been working his way back as best as he can to get back from that. Now he has a strained hamstring. And now, who knows when he's going to pitch? Because, I mean, look, man, when you're 43 years old.
There's a reason why Father Time is undefeated. And 43 years old, you're a first ballot Hall of Famer. I think he's done. I don't see him making it back to the Tigers this year. And if he does, what type of meaningful impact is he even going to have? It's going to be a crappy way to go out. Like, no player wants to go out injured, but sometimes that's the hand that you're dealt. And I just think Verlander pitched the final game of his career this year. I don't see him back after this.
Yeah, it's been really unfortunate because I really was excited. I was excited for the Tigers this year as a whole. I thought they still had enough to compete in the AL Central, and then it's you have Skubal and Mize and Flaherty and a good rotation, and then we knew going into the year that Jackson Grove was not going to pitch this year, but then they get to spring training and they find out not only is Job not pitching, now Reese Olson's not pitching this year because of a shoulder injury.
Yep.
So even with those two not being here all year, all right, well, good. They'll come back at 27 if there's baseball, and they'll be a lot better. And then it's well, they probably need a quick 1 year arm this year. And then you find out it's Verlander. You're like, oh, this is great, awesome, good way for him to go out because it's probably going to be the end of the line here. He's 43, but it's cool. We get to go out, go in Detroit, go out on a high note, and I really hope the last time I see Justin Verlander in a Tigers uniform is not going 3 2/3 in one game and that's it.
And
I hope he
realistically, I
can
hate to
manage
say
his.
it, but I think he gets one more game. Even if it's 1 inning, 2 innings, whatever it is, I think he gets one game in September because I think by that point, the Tigers are going to be out of it anyways. I don't see the Tigers playing their way back into the AL Central race. So even if they're eliminated in September, which I think they will be, what do you have to lose by giving him one more game? Let him pitch the final game of the regular season. Whether you get 1 inning out of him, whether you get 3 innings out of him, whatever, let him at least try to go out on top. I mean, what a story that would be. Final game of the year, Justin Verlander's final appearance of his career, and not only does he not start the game, but he comes in the 9th inning and gets the save.
Oh wow, we're going some real interesting ways to send him out on a high note.
Yeah, I think I'm on the same wavelength as you though. Like I don't want him to end his career injured, even though that ship has sailed. Like he's gonna end his career injured this year just because he's had too many injuries this year. But at the very least, I would like him to get in one more game. Whether it's one inning as a closer, whether you start and you literally face the order one time through and you're going 3 innings at that point. I just think the Tigers need to find a way to get him healthy enough to give him one more start so he can at least end his career on a positive note.
So here's just a little Score Mobile article from when this happened. I'm just going to run through it real quick. Detroit Tigers right-hander Justin Verlander won't return to the mound Sunday, this past weekend, as scheduled after suffering a left hamstring strain, per AJ Hinch. Hinch said that Verlander sustained the injury during a bullpen session in preparation for his first start since March the 30th. Following the bullpen, he came into my office with a pretty distraught look on his face. He said he felt something different, Hinch said. He's pretty upset. Obviously, Hinch added, it's not a matter of days, it's a matter of weeks.
Yeah.
Verlander was working his way back from hip inflammation, which sidelined him for 11 weeks. Hinch emphasized that Verlander's hamstring strain isn't related to his hip issue. The 43-year-old pitcher returned to the Tigers on a one-year deal worth $13 million in February after spending 13 Yeah, okay, so yeah, this don't sound like this is gonna be something that's gonna go away in a few weeks, and we already know how hamstring injuries work.
Yeah, that's what I said. He'll be lucky to see the mound again this year. But if there's any chance that he could, even if he's not 100%, like if there's any chance that he can get to the mound to make one more appearance, the Tigers got to find a way to make that happen. They just have to.
Yeah, because again, Verlander is one of the best Detroit Tigers of all time. He's one of the best starting pitchers of the modern day. I don't need this guy to go out the way he hit that way. I don't need to live with that.
Right.
So hopefully they can get him healthy and get him out there for at least maybe a couple appearances. But like you said, if it's one, just let him go out on his own terms. And we just gotta wait and hope for the best for Verlander because again, 43 years old, like we said, father time usually catches up with all of us, unless your name is LeBron James.
I was starting to catch up to him a little bit too,
Unless he decides to just retire and beat father time out the door.
which is what I think he'll do anyways.
All right, Dustin, let's get into our final main topic. Major League Baseball, like I said at the top of the show, is doing everything in their power to make sure we don't have baseball next year.
I mean, why wouldn't they?
Major League Baseball. Now, this is a tweet from Jeff Passan last week. Major League Baseball proposed an overhauled domestic amateur entry system that removes high school players from the Major League Baseball draft, makes college players eligible after their sophomore year, shortens the draft from 20 to 12 rounds, and cuts bonus pool from current 358.7 million to 200 million dollars. Dustin, I'll let you start this.
Well, we're not supposed to cuss on this show, but because we're after hours, I'm going to let it slide on this
Oh,
one.
I'll let you.
This this is basically the owners just saying "fuck you," and that's bold italics, exclamation points all the way across the board. This is living proof that the owners could give two shits about what the players think. They could give two shits about what high schoolers think, what college players think, what anybody thinks. They only care about the bottom line. And I get that this is a business, and yes, you need to make money as every company does. But at some point, you have to, I'm not going to say put yourself in the player's shoes or whatnot, but you still have to think like a player and not like a owner all the time. And by telling high school players they can no longer enter the draft, by taking the draft from 20 rounds down to 12 or whatever it is, you are literally eliminating 250 players from a chance to make it to a major league roster. That could be their only chance. Like if they're a senior and they enter the draft that year and they don't get taken in the first 12 rounds, that was their opportunity to go into the MLB, and now you took that away from them because you wanted to get cheap because you wanted to save all this money on your draft financial pool.
Yeah, because this is basically the owners proposing bringing in less talent into the game so they can spend less money.
And like, you do realize that after round 3, the money that these draft picks are making is less to nothing for owners to afford. Where most draft picks that are taken after the 3rd round have to find a second job because they're only making $20,000 to $25,000 a year. Like they're making next to nothing outside of the top 3 rounds.
Yep. And like I said, this is them trying to bring less talent into the game, so it's less money they have to spend out of their pockets on minor league stuff, and they basically are trying to no offense, and this is no offense to the NFL, but they're trying to almost have it like how the NFL has it, where their player development is free because they just go to college and come right to the NFL and are really good players.
Yep.
They are trying to eliminate the development aspect of minor league baseball. They want these kids to come.
I mean, I can tell you one thing. College baseball will not only benefit from this, but college athletics will love this if this actually becomes a thing. Because just think of all the extra talent that's going to be in college baseball now. Think of these high schoolers that all these college teams spend endless years recruiting that ultimately turn them down because they want to go straight to the MLB. Now they can't have that. So think about just the quality of baseball you would start to see in college baseball if this actually becomes a thing.
I'm gonna cut us real quick for some breaking news. Not sure if it's really breaking, but we have some news. With their slew of starting pitching injuries over the past few days, the Chicago Cubs are acquiring left-handed pitcher David Peterson from the Mets. Per Jeff
Well,
Passan.
look at that. Look at that. They just swept the Mets in a doubleheader today, so they just went across the clubhouse and said, hey, why don't you come on our side? We'll throw you in game 4 of the series tomorrow because our other starters are hurt.
So the Cubs getting some starting pitching depth. There you go.
I actually think
And
it's
also,
what I find funny about that, what I actually just said. I think David Peterson is actually supposed to start for the Mets tomorrow.
let me see, because Score Mobile will not have updated that quickly.
I think he was set to pitch tomorrow in the series finale.
Tomorrow's matchup as of right now is Peralta versus Boyd.
Okay. Because then Peterson must have pitched right before this series. Holy shit. That would be funny.
I think Peterson pitched on Sunday against us. That's now before
So that'd be funny if the
as
Cubs
we get
actually threw him.
that will be kind of funny. Now, obviously, with every offer, Dustin, that comes through this collective bargaining agreement period, which there will be no agreement. We are fully they are this is the you know what it is? This is the owners just saying, look, we're gonna find every excuse to lock this season out so we don't have to worry about this.
All right.
The Players Association, of course, has a rebuttal. And here is their rebuttal. Today, Major League Baseball made another set of proposals that are flat out bad for baseball, ones that would cripple the next generation of players and damage the future of our game. They would, among other things, eliminate over $1 billion in player compensation from the international and domestic system over the next 5 years, with 400 million reduction from 26 to 27 alone. Destroy fundamental player rights and remove talent from our sport by barring high schoolers and junior college players, anyone under the age of 20, from the domestic draft. abolished an entire year of international signings, but delaying the first draft until at least September of 2027 and as late as March of 2028, denying young international players the ability to start their professional careers. Players remain committed to bargaining in good faith and leaving baseball better than they found it. The league's proposals fall woefully short.
Good job, Major League Baseball. Everyone hates you. You're already hating.
Yep. And this is basically the players rebuttally saying, you want to say screw us? Well, we'll just say screw you right back. Because now we are just, it's, in the beginning when the proposals came, we thought there was like a sliver of optimism. All that just crashed and burned right there.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, this is them taking money out of the minor league system. It's less money that owners have to put out for that. They want to get their player development for free by having these kids all play college baseball till at least their sophomore year, and they don't have to worry about developing them and keeping them in the minor leagues all these years, which just means, guess what? Less minor league players. Guess what that means? You remember what happened with the Trenton Thunder and the Yankees? More of that's going to start happening. Which means
I'm glad you just brought that up, though, because that brings me to another kind of question here. If all these high schoolers now are no longer going to be able to go into the draft, could you see an uptick in independent league talent? Because instead of going to college, where the NIL money in baseball is obviously not at the same level that it is as college basketball and college football, would you see some of these high-priced high school players just go right to the independent leagues and make 75 to 100K right out the bat, stay in the independent leagues for a couple of years, and then enter the draft?
I can definitely say it. I am 100% agreeing with you. I can see that.
So we've had two independent ball commissioners on our show in the past, and
Yep.
depending on the level, or depending on the league that you go into, the pay dictates because of the level of talent. Like the Atlantic League is more of the older players that have had plenty of MLB experience, so they are the highest rated pay scale type of players. The Pioneer League is the lowest when it comes to the pay scale because those are a lot of high schoolers looking for their first opportunity. And then you have the Frontier League and the American Association, which is kind of equivalent to like high A, double A. So they're kind of the ones that are in that 70 to 80,000 a year range, which is kind of where I think a lot of these high school players would fall into if they decided to go into the independent league. So you might not only see an increase in independent league talent, but the more players you add to independent baseball, the more teams you have to create, which in case of that creates more opportunities for other players to join the league as well.
Yep. And Fighting Philly just brought up and said MLB is doing a great job of killing the popularity it worked so hard to get back over the years. Yep. They are 100% just killing every little bit of momentum they've had since since the end of the COVID year. They are just doing what they can to ruin everything they've worked on. And, at the end of the season, we're going to probably have a lot more talks about this. That's going to be all we're going to have to talk about because we know there's not going to be a season starting next year. We can 100% confidently say that.
Right.
But this whole thing is just becoming one giant damn mess. In other words, Dustin, I think it's time to get some revenge on something.
Oh, we're gonna get some revenge on this grid, and if it fucks us over again, I'm gonna burn every single grid that's ever been written down into pieces.
Okay, whoa, 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 whoa. Relax. Let's not go crazy now. All right. So here's what we got for this week's grid, everybody. We've got down the left-hand side, we've got 300 plus career home runs, St. Louis Cardinals, San Diego Padres. And at the top half, we've got Houston Astros, Kansas City Royals, and Silver Slugger. So, Dustin, where would you like to start?
I want to start with the St. Louis Cardinals, and we can just go down that whole row.
Let's do it.
So we'll start with the Silver Slugger and get the easy one out of the way, and just go Albert Pujols.
Who doesn't love Big Al? Watch, it says Albert Pujols never won a Silver Slugger. There's one for one.
We go Houston and St. Louis. Let's go with the long-haired hippie Colby Rasmus.
Oh, you are. You're sick in the head.
And then for
And shall we?
the Royals, let's close it out with Greg Holland.
Was Greg Holland on the Cardinals?
Just type his name in.
I was going to say Carlos Beltran.
Just type Greg Holland's name in.
All right. There he is. Oh, he did pitch for the Cardinals. I know he pitched for St. Louis. I'll be completely honest with you.
Pitched 10 games, then his arm fell off and he was done.
All right, so that one's off the books. Now, do we want to start off on the top row or the bottom row?
We can do top.
All right, Padres and Astros. I mean, that's pretty obvious. Josh Hader.
That's the main one, yeah.
Yeah, let's knock that out. Padres and Royals.
Eric Hosmer.
Ooh, what a pull. I totally forgot the Hosmer played for the Padres. What a pull. And now we need a Silver Slugger with the Padres.
Fernando. Fernando on the roids, definitely not off the roids.
All right. And there we got Fernando Tatis Jr. Now we got to go into the 300 plus home run club with the Astros.
Bags. Jeff Bagwell. Bags.
Okay. I'm not going to lie, you cut out just briefly as you said that, so that's why I didn't hear you. So my mistake. Jeff Bagwell. Now, okay. Who in Kansas City ever hit 300 career home runs?
George Brett.
Okay. We are off and rolling. All right. So now we need 300 plus home runs and a Silver Slug.
I mean, you could throw Ryan Howard in there if you wanted to.
You know what? Let's throw the big piece in there. Let's give Ryan Howard some love. There you go. How did he only get 0.9%? That is disrespectful.
Because people are probably looking at like Ken Griffey Jr., Mark McGuire, Sammy Sosa, A-Rod, Pujols, all
Bonds.
those guys. Yeah.
So Ryan Howard. Well, that was quick work. Dustin, we did it. We got our revenge on the grid.
Grid's going to send you an email. Oh, sorry to tell you, you got it wrong. This person actually did not do this.
Oh, dear Lord.
I would
But
probably
all right,
punch.
Dustin.
I'd probably punch someone in the face if they sent you an email and said, "By the way, we know you're having us on your show, but just to piss you off a little more, we have to tell you that this answer on the grid is actually incorrect because he didn't play a certain amount of percentage of innings for this team, so it doesn't qualify."
We're going to change the rules on you guys. In other terms, Dustin, anything else we got to bring up tonight?
No, actually. Now I'm curious to see what the Cubs gave up for David Peterson because he's not a great pitcher. So we better not have given up a ton of shit for him. Or
Yeah,
I'm going to
I
have
do.
some serious words to say to my front office tomorrow morning when I have to give them a phone call and be like, hey, what are we doing?
Yeah, I do not have any updates on. Oh, here we go. All right, so the Cubs are acquiring David Peterson from the Mets for minor leaguer Cole Mathis and the Cubs' second, who is the Cubs' second round pick in 2024. So Cole
Uh,
Mathis is going to the Mets.
why? Why? Oh my God. No, okay. Oh boy, Jed Hoyer's getting a phone call from me tomorrow morning. He's getting a phone call from me tomorrow morning. He really is. He really is. Because Mathis is a top 10 prospect who is a 35, 40 home run potential guy.
Oh, well, so happy that the Cubs trade just ended the show in grand fashion. So if you guys don't see Dustin on next week with me, I don't know what happened.
Check your local police reports if you don't see me on the show next week.
He drowned himself in the floods out in the main roads.
Fucking
All right, guys, that's going to wrap up another fun episode of Hitting Home. We dived into a lot of topics tonight, talked about the AL MVP possibility for Yordan Alvarez, talked some Phils for a bit. I gave a little opinion on their depth issues on their roster, talked a little bit about Justin Verlander's injuries. We beat the Grid this week, thank goodness. The Grid will not take another matchup from us. And the Cubs broke a trade live on the show, which is always fun. We get breaking news. We are going to wrap it up. It is after midnight, so it is well, at least for me, it is. It is officially Thursday, and for most of you watching. So, guys, thank you all for joining us tonight. Thank you all for tuning in. If you didn't get a chance to see the show live, you can go check it out on the Facebook page and on the YouTube channel. Which, again, if you're not, hit that subscribe button on the YouTube, hit that like and follow over on the Facebook, and have a great rest of your night as long as it's dark out because it's Thursday already. And we'll see you guys next time. For Dustin Reese, I'm Sam Nelson. Have a good night, everybody.
The following has been a presentation of 609 Sports Talk Radio.
Sam, what did you do?